It's September 18th, 2025. It is 7:30. Could we have a roll call, please, Hans?
Director Champion,
Here, present.
Director Young,
Present.
Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Slater Carter,
Present.
Director Softy, here. Right.
All right, thank you. Tonight for president's statement, I'm just gonna keep it pretty short and just say, hey, every year we have to remember to do some things. So if you haven't checked your batteries and your smoke detectors, hey, here's a reminder. And I just went and got my COVID and flu shots today. They're becoming available everywhere. So if you've been waiting, now's a good time. And if I start to get woozy and faint during the meeting, I already have my excuse prepared.
What's the excuse for?
I got my vaccinations today.
Oh, I got one. I waited, they said the COVID was gonna be an hour, so I just got my doctor gave.
It's not woozy, it's floozy.
I always call Scott a floozy.
I'm not sure. I think that maybe is a different word. All right, let's go to oral comments for items that are not on the agenda. Oh, Peter shaking his head. I appreciate the peanut gallery response. I do a lot. Thank you, Peter. Do we have any comments from the public for items not on the agenda or not seeing any from board members?
I had a few.
A few, how many?
I don't know, I'm looking. Okay, I attended virtually the Half Moon Bay City Council meeting on Tuesday night, and they discharged their legal counsel, which was Shute, Holly and Weinberger. And it was a 3-2 vote, and Brownstone and Penrose voted no. So they ended their relationship, and then Harvey got up during public comment to advocate for consolidation. Joaquin Jimenez got up during public comment to announce he's running for the supervisor position when it comes up. And they had their budget and they're still in a deficit, but what can I say? They said their TOT is getting better, so that's pulling them out a little bit. And they also looked for future plans for a community microgrid, and when they were on that item, Ruddick weighed in and mentioned consolidation again. So anyway, and then the Mid-Coast Community Council on September 10th, Catherine wasn't there, and Alan Moss got up and talked at the 20-minute mark about Seal Cove. So if you want to see it, you can, but he was pretty much upset about things and mentioning it. That was pretty much it for public comment.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to consent agenda. Any board member wish to pull anything for consideration or can I have a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
I second that.
All right, let's just do voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries 5-0. And Leah, just for your benefit, if we ever have anyone remote calling in by phone or by video conference, we have to do a roll call vote.
Okay, thank you.
And if we're doing some of the more serious votes that have longer lasting impact, then we'll do those by roll call as well. And I'm trying to remember, there's resolution, there's code, so if we ever get confused, we look to council when council tells us which way to go on that.
I have a question. I know we passed the consent agenda and I wouldn't not vote for this, but I'm very curious about why our solar energy produced in 2025 has been starting in February 0.
The written report actually speaks to that.
Yeah.
And so in short, this is the inverter. It has failed, and the panels are since a long time also delaminating and failing. So at one point we'll have to talk about a replacement for.
And these are what, 25 years old?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they're within the lifetime we expected.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years, I think I'm hoping we get a little more out of them, but
yeah.
No, it's not like quarter ago.
Sid,
On that agenda item, even though we've already passed it and approved it, when can we put it on the agenda to talk about replacing it? Because it hasn't been on an agenda so far that I've seen.
so we
And-
can always talk about getting things on the agenda in the future agendas item at the
Okay.
end of the meeting.
At the end of the meeting.
Yeah, yeah,
That sounds good, but I'd like to see it come up because
yeah,
every
well,
month it's on there that we're getting zero out of it. So it'd be
Well,
great to have it go
right.
on an
And
agenda.
Clemens has already said at some point we're gonna have to look at replacing it, so the staff is ready to bring. it.
Yeah,
We've had fairly serious agenda.
Yeah,
items.
but
That's
I don't
have all the time.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not rushing into this because this is not saving us in any form of money.
It's not
No,
just carbon.
I think we will,
Something.
we can provide a cost analysis, but I don't think this is or in this situation, I think an upgraded panel may be producing some benefit, but monetary wise, I do not think that this was, we did the number, we ran the numbers a couple of times. And, it's a lot of money for very little benefit.
So in an emergency, it doesn't run the pumps for the well and the Alta Vista
Oh,
well.
No
Okay.
way.
It doesn't produce anywhere near enough.
No.
We could
Okay,
find a replacement.
let's
Right.
not do the agenda item
Yeah.
that we were gonna future agendas.
Okay,
New business item 1, review and possible action to approve revision to district personnel manual effective January 1, 2025, and grant a one-time lump sum payment to all district full-time employees. Funds?
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to see that this item is on the agenda, and I'm also glad to see Christopher is in attendance here. Christopher's worked with us on the preparation of the revisions, and I wanted to thank him very much for everything he did for us. And I'm also gonna ask him to go into the changes and list a little bit the additions and revisions that we're suggesting here. Ultimately, staff recommendation is to approve the proposed revisions to the district personnel manual effective January 1, 2025, and grant a one-time lump sum payment of $2,000 to all district employees, including general manager. Christopher, if you would maybe just introduce this item in a bit more detail than I just did.
Yes, thank you, General Manager, and good evening, honorable members of the board. For the public's benefit, my name is Christopher Boucher. I'm the outside labor and employment counsel to Montara Water and Sanitary District. And sort of what we're doing here tonight really is a work that we've put together based on both changes that are regulatory and legal, as well as looking at comparable agencies. And of course, right, Montara Water and Sanitary District is also a member agency of SAM. And SAM completed their contract negotiations last year. So there were some changes to their memorandum of understanding for their represented employees. For the district here, our employees are not represented, so they do not go through an exclusive bargaining unit like SAM. However, just in looking at parity, we've compared some of the changes that were made to the SAM memorandum of understanding for their employees, as well as changes that are made with other comparable agencies that are nearby. And so provisions such as emergency pay, longevity pay, personal property reimbursement, adding an IRS Section 115 health reimbursement account, and establishing a catastrophic sick leave bank. There were also a few other changes that we looked at that were beneficial to the district, such as making changes to our certification incentive program, holidays, and education assistance program. The $2,000 lump sum payment is also intended to align, again, just from a parity standpoint. SAM, when it concluded labor negotiations, provided a one-time lump sum payment of $2,000 to their employees. And so the recommendation here is just to achieve that parity and provide that to district employees as well. Some of the other changes that are before you tonight do look a little bit more legalese. And that was definitely meant to be legalese on purpose. The last update to the handbook was in 2007. So during this time period, there has been changes to the law, expand the categories, for example, under the harassment policy, complaint procedures, and so forth. And so some of the other changes that you see that are more mundane are meant to align and catch up with current law. And we're happy to answer any questions the board may have.
All right. See, does the public have any questions? If not, we'll turn to the board. Okay, board questions. Sid?
Christopher, were our employees already at will, or is this making a change?
This would not change the employee status. So for all district employees, they are at will, and they report and serve directly under the pleasure of the general manager.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I see changes that I approve of. I want to note for the board that it was, the $2,000 did go to the crew at Sam's. Half Moon Bay and El Granada blocked any kind of bonus for Asian.
I have one thing that might be a typo, Christopher, on page 8, in the red line section, in the first red line section, rather than the district, there's a mention of the firm. I think that's just a simple typo. And,
Yes, that is a typo, President. I apologize for that.
I'm just trying to prove I read it, that's all. And then, but there is a thing on page 29, the example, it uses, the phrasing, is an example of what's going to be contributed into their account, but the example uses language that sounds like they will directly receive the $8.55 per pay period. It's just a minor adjustment, but might want to receive like into their account or something like that. There's something to clarify the example. That's really all I found. I really appreciate. I did see the legalese and then the attempt to freshen this up and take into account a number of considerations that have been, come up over the years to make this really a much more useful document for the team. So I really appreciate the work. It really shows. Bill?
I don't usually just want to cheerlead, but this is exactly the kind of work that we need to do. And it's necessary precisely because it's legalese and it's taken 18 years and there's a bunch of new constraints. But yes, I want to pay our people as well as possible and make working here as attractive as possible, because I want everyone to stay here and not move around and leave. So thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Yay for it. I can even go with the typos.
Yeah.
We will
Alright.
certainly make those typos corrections in the final version, and thank you for pointing them out.
Let's see, so what are we being asked to? So we're being asked to approve the manual and the one-time lump sum payment to all district employees, $2,000. So Catherine has moved
Second.
and Bill has seconded. This is a significant one. Let's do a roll call vote on this one.
Please.
Director Champion,
Aye.
Director Young,
No.
Director Boyd,
Aye.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Softy,
Yes.
All right, so by a vote of 4-1, the motion carries. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, lost my agenda here. Okay. Many windows. All right, item 2, review and possible action concerning district clerk / administrative services manager.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the position that's held by one of our most dedicated employees. The district clerk administrative services manager. Since 22, the incumbent has continued to provide dedicated services to the district and customers. So the Boucher law firm, Christopher, recommended that we turn this into an exempt position. And with that, there is some changes added. There are two, one of them is mentioned here, the next change would be in the next agenda item. Christopher, if you can also lay out a little bit more the details on this.
Yes, and as the board may recall, a couple of years ago, we combined just because the incumbent in the job classification continually takes on more duties. A couple of years ago, the board did approve a job description change to recognize those additional duties above and beyond what the incumbent has traditionally performed, which is really the board clerk function, and that's why we added the slash administrative services manager classification. When we changed the job description to the administrative services manager classification, at the time the position was left as an hourly position. But just given the level of responsibilities, the level of judgments and so forth, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, that classification is eligible to be a salaried position. Really, the difference between a salaried position, which we call exempt from the act, and a non-salaried position, which would be an hourly position, is that a salaried position is not eligible for overtime. Given that the incumbent does attend, a number of board meetings, and just with the way the job is structured, right? Just like Clemens doesn't clock out automatically at 5 o'clock, and if the general manager stays until 6 or 7, there's no overtime incurred because of the nature of the job classification. So by law, we would have to officially declare the position to be a salaried position versus hourly. And this is really the only change we're recommending tonight, which is to convert that position to a salaried position. And then the companion item on the administrative leave is intended to make up some of the inconveniences of staying late and so forth to the employee as a result.
All right, thank you. Do we have any comments or questions?
We're talking about Tracy, right?
Yes.
Should I make a motion?
Yeah, we're being asked to approve.
I make a motion to approve new business number 2, review and possible action concerning district clerk administrative services minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? So the motion carries 5-0. Okay. Terrific. Let's go to the related item 3, review and possible action to approve pay for performance compensation plan to the superintendent and district clerk / administrative services manager classifications effective July 1, 2025.
Yeah, thank you. So, and this ties into a new addition to the superintendent position that was approved in April 2024, where we put actually a paper for performance compensation plan in place. And we're suggesting here to revise it and also include the administrative services manager classification for the same amount. So Christopher, please fill any gaps that I left here.
No, thank you, General Manager. Yeah, this is the same policy that was approved by the board when we implemented the pay for performance plan. At the time, we had only contemplated the superintendent job classification. But again, with the administrative services manager and the board clerk position being converted to a salaried position, it would make sense just from an internal equity standpoint to make both of those positions eligible. The criteria for the pay for performance will be set by the general manager every year. So this is not a bonus in the sense of private sector where if the firm does well, right? For example, everybody gets a bonus. In the public sector, this is very specific. And so it would be based on objective achievable goals that the general manager will set forth. It's typically something that would bring additional benefits to the district. So kind of the analogy that I use is doing your job is just part of your job, but it would have to be something above and beyond for employees to be eligible to earn the pay for performance. And then it would be up to the discretion of the general manager to make those determinations at the end of the year. But obviously, because those criteria are set, there is a objective way to make those determinations.
Do we have any questions or comments?
Is this a different position or is this still the clerk?
This
district
this is
clerk?
the same position.
Okay, thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the corresponding pay for
So
performance
moved.
compensation?
A second.
All right, so Sid has moved, Bill has seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 5-0, the motion is carried. All right, terrific. Item 4, review and possible action concerning response to grand jury report, quote, will the next one be here high and dry?
Yeah, thank you very much. So we actually sent this out to the board a little bit in advance for review. So the grand jury released a report about the emergency preparedness of county water agencies and also HHE customers 2 years ago. But we were not included in this original report. The title of the original report was "The Other Water Worry Is the Water Provider Prepared for the Big One?" Now there was a follow-up report published, essentially looking at how did the agencies fare with the suggestions that came out of this initial report. And we were included in this report, and it's rather interesting because we're not a HHE customer in this sense, and our system performs very differently. So the ultimately there were 2 findings, and that was the so under F3. One of the criteria that they looked at was how long can the agency supply water to customers? But again, I think there is some important things that were not really considered when it came to MWSD. One of the items they looked at was emergency fuel storage. And the background here is that for most agencies, there is pumps required to pressurize systems and also to pump water, replacing into the tanks. That is also true for us. So ultimately, there's the idea that agencies would have 3 days of emergency fuel storage. And we have generators that are fueled at every site. For 3 days, there is at least 1 time of refueling required. So the grand jury is under the assumption that we would be looking for our own storage. We've indeed considered this a number of times and looked at what it would take to do this. There is a certain risk that comes along with fuel storage, particularly with the site that sites we own. We are a water provider. So adding fuel has some significant risks to the to our groundwater, but also to the environment that we're actually trying to protect, to the ocean. We've also, what was not considered is we actually have an agreement in place with some vendors that allow us to pull fuel from their storage in case of an emergency. Out here on the coast, we have, I think, a large degree of expertise when it comes to these power outages. I think this is pretty clear. Everybody understands that we had multi-day, almost week-long outages for quite a number of times in recent years.
Every year.
Pretty much every year. So even with a larger scale event that would affect other communities, we're pretty comfortable that we have enough fuel to provide the emergency generators. But however, again, we're gravity fed, which is a lot of systems are gravity fed, but we actually have a pretty big gravity difference. We have large storage tanks in the back. And so just by gravity alone, we can actually sustain the system for quite some time. That was the other recommendation here, the to essentially, and that is interestingly enough, nothing that is really industry standard. We understand this is coming from Hetchy requirements or requirements for their customers to essentially provide 3 days of water. If we simply do the math and take the available storage and divide that by the average daily demand, we're getting close to 5 days. If we're talking about, high demands, we're well within the 3 days. What was criticized here, another question at 5, the water provider does not perform operational functional full-scale exercises, compromising the clarity of roles and responsibilities, and helping identify resource gaps. So this goes back to a recommendation that is in conjunction, that is coming from the emergency response plan that is required to be filed with the California Division of Drinking Water. So we have, of course, an emergency response plan and also a risk and resiliency assessment. These are confidential documents, so we are filing those. They contain all vulnerabilities of the district. That is why these documents are very sensitive. One of the recommendations with these emergency response plans is to form regular exercises. And we actually do that and have provided the documentation. One of the issues here is that there is, and that is acknowledged by the grand jury as well. We look really at San Mateo County for being the lead agency here to implement some of these exercises, particularly for water agencies, and that is where there's still a lack from the San Mateo County Emergency Department. So we are really looking to them to include us and perform exercises. But again, we actually did a number that with consultants. So we also definitely followed the recommendation. So we prepared a response in accordance with that. I hope everybody read through it. We asked for comments in advance. We have not received, we've received one comment from Leah, actually, and thank you very much. We have also received a comment from a member of the public. And Greg, thank you very much for your contribution. I'm gonna leave it up to you if you want me to read those suggestions out, or if you want to bring them up yourself, but I definitely ensure that the comments are going into the minutes.
Go ahead and read them, Clemens. I don't need to. Thanks.
Sure. Would you like me to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Dear MWSD, this is from Greg Diego's. In reviewing your letter response to the grand jury, I provide the following suggestions and comments. In the main, it is good. However, I see the following. Page 3 of 38, quote, storage of fuel poses a high contamination risk that is counter to the intent of fuel storage. Suggest revising to, quote, storage of excess fuel poses a high watershed contamination risk that conflicts with the desire for more fuel storage and, given our system topography, is unnecessary. Page 5 of 38, quote, we look forward to a continued focus. Greg asked, does the district not want a response indicating satisfaction with MWSD's condition? Shouldn't that look forward sentence also include written clearance from any negative finding, or at least some acknowledgement of MWSD's unique situation? Also on page 5 of 38, note regarding build a comprehensive list of all water providers that serve San Mateo County residents. Greg notes, I've been asking for this for over 5 years. When I inquired on December 7th, 2019 of San Mateo County for a list of water, sewer, and wastewater providers, the list I got was omitted SAM. Should MWSD suggest a better and faster process to compile this essential information? Is it better assigned to the Office of Emergency Services? See attached SMC list of water, sewer, and wastewater PDF for the county's list then, and the 2019 email exchange I had with Mimi Nguyen, Public Works Office Specialist at County of San Mateo Department of Public Works. Regards, Greg Diegas. Greg, did you want to add anything to your comments?
No, I'm done, thanks.
Okay. I did have a comment for a possible addition in the response to the Cat 5 and R5 section. You provided some really good information that I'm all for. What's interesting is on page 7 of their report, there's a section entitled "The Key Role of Readiness: Plan, Practice, Evaluate." And in there, they quote from the State Water Resources Control Board from the guidance on the emergency response plans. And the quote reads, "The water systems trainings program should include routine training drills, tabletop exercises, and possibly functional exercises, depending on the utility's resources." And I think all of that is kind of said in the response that you have drafted. But I think we might do well to cite this as this is the ERP guidance from State Water Resources Control Board. And we satisfy this because we do the training drills, we've done the tabletop exercises, and depending on the utility's resources, possibly functional exercises, this is where we turn and say it would be best if the large scale stuff was coordinated by SMCC. So I just think it's an interesting thing that they cited it and then used a different standard in applying to us. So this would be a good opportunity maybe to point them back to the thing that they had cited and say, we're fully conformant to that. Yeah.
We were left out of the first grand jury report, and we were left out because they used a list of Hetchy customers. So
They still use it.
they don't quite get it, and I'm sure that Sam was left out for another reason that is not rational to me. But the other thing I want to add is we do cross training with our crews. Our crew, and that's something that large organizations can't do. I was talking to one of our ex-employees, this was years ago. He had been renting his house from me, and then he moved down south into a beer business, and I was talking to him there, and then he moved on to another larger water organization. He said, "I really miss working for MWSD. This larger organization pays more, but everything is on a job list of what we can do, and you're not allowed to go outside of that job list." So I think that's the basis for these kinds of requests. He said, "The thing I liked most about MWSD was when I was working on something and needed to work on something that I could do, like electricity or something, I didn't call for anybody else. I just did it. There were 2 of us on the job and we just did what needed to be done." And I think that's something the grand jury is totally clueless about. It maybe even the concept of cross training. And I think that's one of our biggest strengths. And the other biggest strength we have is our crew stays for a long time. And there's a reason for that. These are all very, very smart guys, gals, and they appreciate this kind of work environment as opposed to the more structured one, which is what the grand jury report is aimed at.
Good.
This is the first time I've heard a grand jury thing more up close, and I have no correction for the letter, just reading the letter and now hearing you fill in the background to it. Sounds as if on the one hand, they're trying to cover the whole county, and they don't have all the time in the world to cover little tiny groups of people off on one tiny edge of the county. But on the other hand, if they're going to accuse us of things which are supposedly having a factual and legal basis, they should get their facts right. And I believe I've heard 3 different ways in which they have utterly dropped the ball in the basic civic decency of knowing what the facts are before you point your finger at something. And so I want us to go after them with anything we can. The letter is a start. But if they don't wake up and recognize that they are also responsible for actually saying true things, I don't know what to do with them.
Let's go to Sid.
Grand jury's made up of citizens, so they may not realize we're just a tiny little dot over here on the coast side. But I agree that they're trying to use a one size fits all plan to make us fit into it. I do have a question. What are building flood barriers? Do we do that? That's on page 5 near above all the footnotes. But like the
Page 5 of the report.
of this grand jury thing, and it says. Ways to reduce the effect of disasters, attacks on public health and water supply, such as using backup sources, moving water intakes, or building flood barriers. I don't know if we do that.
They didn't apply that one to us.
They could or couldn't.
They did not.
Okay,
They have a table of
Okay.
which of their concerns.
that's just kind of one of the
Right.
things that we don't fit that mold.
Even they got that right.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, so I mean, I think, Bill, what you've been saying is, I think very important to understand is to. You know, these are citizens that are trying to do as best job as they can. But they are not professionals, and I think that is sometimes a little bit the problem. What I heard you say is, so right now we have focused on responding to F3 and F5, and what I've heard you say is, well, are there other corrections that may be needed to correct the record? For example, what comes to mind here immediately is we are criticized for not having filed the new ERP in 2025. And the reason is that the filing is dependent on the size of the agency. We're required to file it in 2026. So these kind of things. So,
nitpicky.
all right.
I would add, I have one more thing. Greg had asked, don't we want to ask them to clear our name? And this is not how grand jury demands and the responses go. That's just not the normal thing. What we do is we provide a direct response that conforms to the requirements. We are required to respond in very specific ways. This does that. And they may let that be the last word, in which case we don't need to say anything. So we'll see. I'll say too, I mean, it's a group of citizens doing their best to provide citizen oversight for public agencies. It's a necessary function. It's a very good function. It's a pretty big lift to ask them to go, hey, let's do some oversight of our water systems. And I mean, it's a great topic, right?
Yeah.
And they have made some pretty incisive comments, especially about the county's emergency center, which took on some obligations and may have some catch-up work to do. And that's important. The time to do is now. So what they're doing is good. That they're not perfect or professionals at it. I think the tone of the response is like, you said this, we take issue with that, here's why. I think it's just kind of a Joe Friday, just the facts kind of thing. And
I think that,
and that's a pretty typical way to respond to them. And I think they are due the respect of us just giving them a pretty straight, not too fiery response. I mean, it's hard not to, because we know we're doing things much better than they may have said, but that's okay. Setting the record straight in our response is the thing that we need to do. And I think this letter does it really well. Sid?
Kind of on topic. The Emergency Services Council meets at the DEM, Department of Emergency Management's headquarters over there on Winslow Street in Rapid City. But the only county representation is somebody from the Board of Supervisors, and we don't get representation. It's only the 20 cities in the district. So we're always left, the coast side is always left out. And I happened to watch their April meeting where they unraveled rolled out their emergency evacuation plan that they've been talking about working on for over a year. And it's done by AI and some company that they paid, a consultant. And all he did was he had like 15 minutes to show this little map in part of Hillsborough, and it would take him 45 minutes to evacuate. But that doesn't, that's just one neighborhood in Hillsborough. That doesn't count like the whole coast side with tourists and 25,000 people from Half Moon Bay to Montara with choke points at either side. So they said at the end of the meeting that software was going to be distributed to the different parties and people could work through it and see, do tabletop exercises or, actual virtual exercises in their communities. But I assume that just means the cities. And I don't know who has it here on the coast. If it went to the Coastside Fire Protection District or just to Half Moon Bay and Pacifica. But again, we've kind of been left out of the process. And so we'll probably be given an afterthought on that one too. But if we could reach out to them and get a copy of it, we could maybe do some modeling for our own communities here. I mean, we're the only, what would you call it, district that has any community concerns. The rest of us, there's nothing else except maybe the Harbor District that's even, local around here. So I don't know.
Okay,
I think that's
thanks,
good.
thanks for the suggestion, Catherine.
I'm kind of old fashioned. I'd rather county stay out of here. They don't bring help because they don't understand, nor do they have basic knowledge of the infrastructure and traffic demands and all of the other things on this county. We've built our own water system. We built our own sewer systems in the 50s. We've built our own parks. We've built our own trails, and we have protected the top of Montara Mountain when the county wouldn't after SFPUC cut it off. So I am not looking forward to any help from the county because they make all these rules up based on not too much knowledge. So I think we should thank the grand jury for its service. And because that's a good thing. I also think it's a very good letter, Clements. You guys did an excellent job. And I agree with you. Let's not ruffle any feathers. These guys are just citizens and they're dependent on the county for the information they got. So that's one of the problem. Let's just do like the Harbor District does. We take care of a whole lot of stuff ourselves. The Harbor District has its own fuel supplies and we're sharing one of those resources. So let's just thank them and tell them to please note that we are our own water system and should be included.
Right, so what we're looking for tonight is approval to send the response, is that the?
Yeah, I mean, that is ideally what we're looking for and would love a little more direction or a summary of maybe because I've heard a number of different things.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I've heard that everybody agrees that the letter as is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that means that we probably can send it as is.
I think so, I do think referencing their quote from their footnote number 10 on page 7. I think there'd be a way to insert that into that section.
Okay, yes.
Which-
insert that.
Which I think changes the nature of it a little bit as they're reading through it.
Yeah.
They might be thinking, we're just being defensive and we're just like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, but it's actually directly responsive to the guidance in the ERP guidance document.
Yes, so we can refer to that language that comes directly from the report.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I think that's did we have any, I would say, my inclination is, use your discretion on Greg's comments, because I mean, what he's offering is some opportunities to clarify and strengthen. So I would say, I'd like to approve it. With, subject to you making any of those fine tuning adjustments that you deem appropriate.
Same here.
Is that sufficient guidance for you, Clement?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's see, if we need to,
I move that you go ahead with those changes and put through the letter. If you need a motion.
So, and you're talking about this changes that Scott just summarized.
Right, exactly. That Greg had suggested with that quote.
yeah, I think we'll just give direction, since we have consensus, we'll authorize you to send the response. Do you need a vote from us on that?
We do need a vote, President Boyd,
Okay.
approving the
right.
response with the
So we have a
direction.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Oh, it's your first second, so. All right, Leah for the second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay,
So on the last page, it's including this fuel dock thing that was attached, and I have a question about that, so I thought it was a separate item.
it's an attachment for the thing.
Right.
But let me announce
Go
the
ahead.
outcome of the vote first.
ahead, go
By a vote of 5-0, the motion carries. And we'll go to your comment in a second, but I want to thank Clemens and staff for doing a really good and timely response to this. What was your?
So this was dated August 17th, 2006, and George Irving was the writer of it, district manager at the time. And it does say that we have, I believe it says that we have put on deposit some money for an emergency, so we can go and draw down money from the fuel dock if there comes an emergency. And I just wanted to confirm that, because there's no copy of the check or anything, and it was so
Yes.
long ago.
That is confirmed.
Okay, and then the other thing is, it says that we have to supply the truck to come and get the fuel, so do we have such a truck?
Yes, we
Okay,
have the equipment, we also have it's a lift, it's a suction pump. That actually can, a fuel pump, but one with a suction pump that can actually, just be lowered into a tank, the nozzle lowered into a tank and suck the fuel out, yes.
okay, that's all I wanted to know, thanks.
All right, thank you. Let's go to item 5 now. Review and acceptance of the June 30, 2025 GASB 68 actuarial evaluation.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna ask Peter to present this item, and I wanna thank in advance Catherine Moore, who is doing the actual presentation. Peter.
Up until like 5 minutes ago, I was preparing to present. Luckily, Catherine has arrived. So just quickly, this is an annual requirement for our annual audit report. This has been since 2012. For our pension plan with PARS. The good news is, and I don't want to steal any thunder here, but we are back after 2 years of having a net pension liability. We're back to having an asset. So market conditions are really to applaud there, but we are doing a really good job, I believe. But with that, I'll turn it over to Catherine.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
Just a moment. Oh, that's not what I wanted, sorry. Okay, can you see the report?
Yes.
Okay, so we've prepared the accounting information under GASB 68 for the 6/30/25 financial statements. A little bit of background on the dates. The liabilities in this report are based on the June 30, 23 valuation that we completed last year. we're projecting the liabilities forward to the 6/30/24 measurement date. So when we look at items that happened during the year, that's the 23/24 measurement period. This first part of the report, as line part I want to go through, it's the note disclosures. First, we have the expected long-term rate of return. We are using a 6.25% return. This is based on your investing with the PARS Capital Appreciation Fund and a 2.5% inflation rate. And these, this is the same discount rate we used it in the prior year numbers. Next, in the disclosures, more information about the plan. This is the number of covered participants at 6/30/24 measurement date. There were 2 retirees receiving ongoing monthly benefits. 1 terminated employee not eligible for monthly benefits, but still has some employee contributions sitting with the plan assets, and then 8 active employees. Okay, so next we get to the net pension liability. Last year, we have last year's numbers on the left. Last year, the plan was 97.7% funded, and now it is 103.6% funded. So it went from underfunded by 33,000 to overfunded by 57,000. This next disclosure shows what happened during the year. On the liability side, we went from 1.4 million. We increased with the service costs. That's the benefits that were earned during the year, plus interest, and decreased liability by benefit payments that were paid through the year to get to 1.6 million at the end of the year. On the asset side, what GASB refers to as the fiduciary net position, we started at 1.4 million. That increased with employer and employee contributions through the year, and increased by net investment income for the year. It was 13.6%, where we had assumed a 6.25%. And then the assets were decreased for benefit payments and administrative expenses. So the change from slightly underfunded to a little bit overfunded is primarily due to the investment gains. GASB 68 requires you to show what the net pension liability would look like if you were to change your expected rate of return on assets by 100 basis points. So you'd be more overfunded with a higher discount rate and underfunded with a lower 5.25% return. Next, for the note disclosures, is the pension expense for the year is $103,000. The pension expense is not tied directly to cash expenditures. It's more used to reconcile the beginning of year and end of year balance sheet amounts. Next, we have the deferred outflows and inflows. Under GASB 68, not all changes in the liability and assets are recognized immediately on the balance sheet. And so these are amounts that have not yet flown through the expense and do not appear on the balance sheet quite yet. This next exhibit shows how these numbers here will flow through the expense in future years. Finally, the note disclosures is just a summary of the assumptions used to calculate the total pension liability. We're using the 6.25% discount rate, 2.5% inflation, and we are using CalPERS demographic assumptions since they have similar demographics to your plan, and they have a lot more data so that they can do an experience study. And finally, just disclosing that no assumptions have been changed since the prior measurement date. So that covers all of the note disclosures. The rest of the report, the next section has required supplementary information, which is a kind of a repeat of what we just looked at. And then a lot of supporting information I was not going to go through. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Can you scroll back like one page more? A little bit there, no, yeah, when it has brackets, is that over or under?
The inflows are gains. These are when the liability does not increase as much as we expect.
So the ratepayers aren't coming out of pocket that year because you had higher than expected earnings on the whatever the underlying product is that what you're saying?
These are not tied directly to cash expenditures. These are just
What do they represent? Stop scrolling, I don't know what they represent, those minus or those bracketed numbers. Now it's gone off the screen. What do those represent? I'm slow when it comes to this sort of thing.
That's okay.
Why are some positive and some negative? And
Oh,
it seems like the ones in brackets are actually positive, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, look at the title. This is the recognition of deferred outflows and inflows of resources
Right.
in the future expense.
So inflows are positive, right? They're giving money in, they're not taking it away. Is that what you're saying?
I'm hoping, Catherine, that one's for you.
Oh, go ahead and explain it, because I'm done.
Let her talk.
That's okay. The bracketed numbers will decrease the liability on the balance sheet. We
Okay,
haven't, go ahead.
Does that mean the district has to come out of pocket to make up the difference? No.
No,
Okay.
these amounts are not tied to any cash payments the district has
Okay,
to
thank
make. This is purely an accounting thing that
All right.
ties into the balance sheet
Thank you.
liabilities.
Thank you very much.
Anything
Okay.
else?
No, that was my question.
I'm good.
That was, you went by so fast, I didn't see it when you were scrolling before.
I apologize.
That's okay.
All right, so we're looking simply to receive it, so.
Yes.
Let's consider this received. Thank you, Catherine and Peter and Clemens. This is great information. I really appreciate the chance for us to see how it's going and to provide that accountability so we can keep it dialed in. I really am kind of happy to see that we're right in the sweet spot between, the 6.25, a little more, a little less would move us pretty far off the center, but where we are is kind of right there. So that's what we're looking to do, is to try to make sure we avoid accruing a big deferred liability that we can't handle. So this is the way we do it. So thank you so much for your work. It's complicated stuff.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, with that, let's go to reports and let's start with the Sewer Authority Mid Coast side. I have the agenda in front of me and had the agenda in front of me. I clicked away to a tab to look at this stuff. What we did a couple things. One, we get a quarterly financial report, so we accepted the fourth quarter financial report. And then we also had a very interesting thing that I think I would recommend. The video of it would be pretty good. We had a presentation about the ocean outfall. At SAM, we have a big pipe that runs from the tail end of the plant out into the ocean quite some distance, and spaced at regular intervals out towards the end of it are these things that we call duckbill things, and they're pipes with an end that's kind of flat like a duckbill. And these are diffusers for taking everything the plant is sending into the ocean and kind of fanning it out and making sure the water can go out, but not a lot of stuff can come in. But we have to periodically send divers out there to check it out, see how it's going, see what's taking damage. Did somebody drag an anchor, or break one, or I don't know, some deep sea creature bite a hole in one or whatever. So we had a really good report. I enjoyed it. I think everyone there had questions, and it was really an engaging thing. And it's one of these things about infrastructure that is out of sight, out of mind, but so important. And we have good people taking good care of it. The dive crew is very reliable and does this on the regular cadence. It's a reasonable expense to keep an eye on stuff that we really have to keep in working order. And while it's out of sight, it's not out of mind for the people who do the job. So I want to remind us and the public that just because you can't see it doesn't mean we don't have to stay on top of it, and they're doing it.
Hey, Scott, by the time that effluent gets into the ocean outfall, there's nothing that can clog it, right? It's pretty liquid,
It's water.
it's mostly water,
No, it's
all water,
it's water that has been
treated and treated.
And filtered.
strained and with
Filtered.
the fines settled out, and it's had chlorine contact, and then that's been neutralized before we send it into the ocean. So it's been filtered and sterilized before it goes out.
So those baffles can't ever get clogged or anything.
Oh, well, all sorts of things can happen. You can have a big storm, like there was one of them where probably a pretty big storm surge had filled one with sand. But there's a bunch of them, and the report was basically, it's doing fine. There's a few things we need to fix. We fixed what we could this year, but some of it we'll keep an eye on and fix next year. And they only keep so many duckbills in standby supply, so you don't want to keep more than you need. So it was a very interesting conversation, and it's really good that they do the job, and we can have confidence that they know what they're doing. It's fun to hear them talk about it too.
Today I met with Keishan and he gave me the tour of the plant
Ah.
and I got to see a diffuser that had been replaced.
It's,
So exactly what we're talking about.
it's in the office if
Yeah.
anybody wants to go
Yeah,
and see
I
it.
got to see it.
That's
so-
great. Did you enjoy the tour?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, so really rounded out my understanding.
So, before I got into this business, I would never imagine that anybody would think that a tour of the sewer plant would be something to put on your bucket list, but it turns out everyone I've ever talked to has thought that tour was really interesting.
It is a good tour, but sometimes on my phone, I get advertisements for it. And I get it, and I think, when are they gonna stop running this ad? I don't know how much they pay. But it's been at least 2 or 3 years. I got it during COVID when they weren't giving tours. And it's a virtual
It's
tour.
better to get the ad than to get COVID, so.
I know, but
No, we're-
are they spending money for a long time without remembering that they have that ad? running?
No. We
It's
do
managed.
outreach because I think the inspection cost about $45,000. That's putting divers in the water to
Yeah.
go do the detailed inspection and make some repairs and do all the reporting, and it's a lot of work, and it costs a fair chunk. I'm totally in favor of doing outreach to let people know what we're doing. So that when the bills come due, people are going, I know what we're doing with that money, and I feel good about it, and I want to do it. It's the same way that many people are like, people will often say, oh, thanks for being on the board. It's such a thankless job. And it's not a thankless job because somebody just thanked me for it. And I'm glad to know that they know something about what we do, because then we get the support to actually get the work done. So it's super important that we do what we can. And it's, as you've experienced, it's a really good experience. And I'm really glad they're making more things available for the people who aren't going to go to the actual plant, but to be able to see some videos and get some explanations.
Yeah, it reminds people maybe not to flush these quote unquote washable wipes down the toilet. They don't dissolve.
Just
And
because you can force it down the toilet doesn't mean it was a good idea.
yeah, and there's a lot of stuff like hair you don't want to run down the toilet because it doesn't dissolve and it gets wound around pumps and stuff and clogs them up. It's,
And real people who live here on the coast side have to deal with that mess.
and in
Oh.
fact, in most of the women's restrooms I have gone into in the last 25 years. There's a sign, please don't flush anything but human waste and toilet paper. Our pipes are old. And I don't know if they're in men's rooms, haven't checked. But in fact, it's a good reminder in your own house, because you don't want those things to get plugged.
Yeah, and it's not about whether or not your pipes are old. It's not a good idea to, you don't want to put teddy bears down there or
Legos.
any number of things. Legos are not a good idea. And at any rate, it was a great presentation. I'm super happy to see what staff is doing with that. And then in closed session, we dealt with the general manager's performance evaluation, and I think we may have some actions coming out into public session at the next meeting, I think is what's gonna happen. So
Right.
that was our agenda at SAM.
Well, let me add that our next meeting. At the next meeting on SAM is Monday night. And it's going to be an interesting agenda. At the finance committee today, we got it was a fascinating agenda. It was, and the part that was even more fascinating, in addition to the cash flow situation, was the discussion and presentation on Sam's section 115 plan with PARS. And it was such a good presentation and such good documentation that I asked to have it, and Keishan and the rest of the finance committee agreed we should have the full presentation on a future agenda. Because it gives a lot of insight into how the money is being invested, what our expenses are going to be. And the finance committee, all three of us agreed it's better to start spending little amounts of money now, so it can get interest and take care of our future needs. We have 4 employees who could get, I don't know, something under their idea hat and retire. And we don't particularly object to that, but we've got to be prepared for it financially. And so we're talking about adding money to that retirement fund. The thing about the PARS retirement fund is once you put the money into it, you lose control of it. You can only withdraw it for retirement funds, and that's the good news, because ERAF happened when the state decided to give more money to schools from special districts. And so they said, oh, you guys all have so much money, we'll just reduce your tax returns, your property tax returns that you've been funding your districts on. And they said, oh, and besides that, you're enterprise district, so all you have to do is raise your rates. So I recommend keeping an eye on that, and we will have the whole presentation also attached to our minutes.
Right. Okay, let's go. Do we have anyone from Midcoast Council? Sid, you already made some comments. Did you want to?
I did, but it's Catherine's, right?
Oh,
No,
No.
my name is on
I
it.
took it off. You're not going there anymore?
so
Pretty much
it-
not. I watch it on TV sometimes, but.
we don't have anyone assigned to that, so what we do is if someone has something, then we bring it up. We've often had a Midcoast Community Council member here, and that's often been the way it gets done. So if we don't have anything more on the Midcoast Council, Catherine, do you have anything for CSDA or LAFCO?
The LAFCO meeting was yesterday, and it had nothing concerning the coast. There is no CSDA news or meetings.
Okay, Christine, anything for the attorney's report?
I have no report, but if it's okay with the president, I since I have the floor, if I could maybe make a statement before closed session. Just
Yes, please.
regarding, thank you. There's an item on closed session this evening to discuss claims filed against the district related to the Seal Cove emergency area. Director Young has previously disclosed a financial conflict of interest under the Political Reform Act because her residence is located within the restrictions imposed under the real property rule. Accordingly, she will be recusing herself and will not participate in or be present for this closed session discussion. She will leave the meeting prior to the board's consideration, which will be reflected in the minutes.
Is
Thank
that the last agenda item
Yeah, that's
in
fine.
closed session? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Clemens, anything to add to your general manager report?
Excuse me,
yes.
director's
Oh,
report.
I
just-
skipped right over that.
I
I'm
need
sorry.
to-
I apologize.
I can go after him if.
No,
you
no,
want.
go ahead.
Okay,
Let's get in order.
just, I did go to CSDA and I saw that, Martin Roush was there. And I took his seminar and he's the person who did our 10 years ago, our strategic plan. And he had some good information during his seminar, but, I think Bill and I are on the strategic plan committee, and I think we should really talk about having for this year sometime pretty soon, a new strategic plan drawn up. Cause we're way out of date on it. And that was one of the things that I went to 2 fire seminars too, even though they weren't really about this district, they were excellent. And one of them was for San Luis Obispo County. They even have they call them fire sheds. And it was real interesting what they did. They got together for their whole county. They have one of those oh, now I forgot the name of it. Fire safe councils for the entire county. And of course, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but I'm not sure. Our county is suing the state for $38 million because they withheld all their vehicle license fees. So,
Okay. Bill?
and
I was at CSDA, I saw that presentation on how to manage fire, which was amazing. Because what worked was they put the laws of nature first. When they called the fire shed, they just said administrative boundary, Mother Nature doesn't care about administrative boundaries. So they have a board of like 32 people. And all kinds of other institutional problems, but they said they got environmentalists and cattle herders at the same table. And that's amazing. What was cool was to see that these are basically the administrators, the Clements equivalents, all over the state, running libraries and cemeteries and parks and water district, everything. And the common theme, of course, is the state is raining down unfunded mandates, requirements, and all sorts of awful administrative things to gum up the process of doing the job that you're supposed to do. So it was encouraging to see that it's real humans doing it. It was very encouraging to see they all respond so natively to the idea that human bandwidth is necessary for government to work. So I've got my own kind of mathematical theories, but they are playing out quite nicely with the people who are actually administrating things. And to generally understand that government's needs to happen at arm's length. So that was a good experience. I don't think there's anything else I need to talk to regarding that, but the strategic plan thing, my wife has just finished a multi-year process of pushing through a strategic plan for a nonprofit, which did not have one, and thereby could not even get money from foundations of various kinds. The big foundations need that. So she has augmented and improved the strategic planning process and is just kind of this week taking a deep breath, and I'm looking forward to incorporating her knowledge in what we do.
well, I guess my concern is I know our general manager, Clemens, is very busy all the time doing a multitude of things, and it's probably not his top priority, but we have the building that's got dry rot, we've got solar panels that aren't working. Our website still says that we're looking for July applications for the board seat that Leah's sitting in. I mean, there's just things I'm sure he's probably in charge of, but maybe we could help him out a little bit, and get the ball rolling on some of these things, but.
So as I'm just gonna advise the committee members, your committee members,
Yes.
feel free to meet.
All
feel
right.
free to confer with the general manager. And
Good.
Yeah, we're ad hoc.
Well,
feel free to meet,
Let us
feel free
find
to
a time.
confer with the general manager,
Right.
and feel free to bring us some plans.
Okay,
But generally, a strategic plan is about a relationship that the district going forward.
right.
And
Let's see.
get a relationship with the,
Kleenex, he might need some.
So,
and the relationship with the community. And it takes, you are correct, it takes an awful lot of work.
Yeah,
And I think, depending on what happens, with Half Moon Bay's lawsuit, we may free up a fair amount of time.
Sure.
But as you mentioned, Sid, it appears Half Moon Bay is going to work on consolidation, trying to steal our water and our money.
it sounds that way, but who knows?
okay, if I can maybe say something here. So, the operation of this district lies with you. If there is any help needed, we will hire professionals.
Right,
Committee meetings. Ad hoc committee meetings are paid expenses, so they will not be called without me calling them. All right, so you guys can meet, you can talk. There will not be an ad hoc committee meeting until I call it. I have my conversation with Martin Roush, of
Mhm.
course, because the reason why this plan, Leah, was started, we initiated the plan, we brought it already pretty far. And we're actually ready to start meeting about it, but the interruption was ultimately that we were waiting to get you on board. So that we can get your input into the strategic plan.
Good.
Martin is not available until the first quarter next year, so we will have to wait until that time at which we will pick up the strategic plan with now a 5-member board. If there's a need for a committee meeting, I'll let you know, but you guys are free to meet anytime. It's not gonna be a paper meeting.
And this is why I'm saying, feel free to meet, feel free to confer with the general manager. That's where this stuff gets done.
oh, and one other thing, the last thing I forgot to mention before, and Clemens knows about this, because I sent him the message. They were digging, or there was construction tools in the street up there at the corner of Valimar and Juliana. And 9 big cypress trees were in planter boxes right on the sidewalk, but it turns out they now have been contacted by code enforcement, so I was worried they were gonna plant them right along the sidewalk where we're maybe gonna be digging in a few months, or I don't know when, but I know Pippin gave us a presentation about moving the sewer or water lines or both up from the cliff. So I didn't want to see us get, some guy planting trees right where we're gonna be digging. So anyway, I guess that's one heads up that we took care of this week. Anyway,
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Now, general manager report.
Thank you very much. We were approached by the Pacific Beach Coalition. This Saturday is the essentially the largest cleanup event in the world scheduled. And one of these beaches that will be cleaned up is Montara State Beach. We essentially were asked if a Montara representative would be available to say some words about, it wasn't really clear what about, but it's pretty sure we are, of course, protecting this marine reserve and the Monterey National Marine Sanctuary here. So I think the mission for us is pretty clear. So cleaning up the beaches is very important. I am not available on Saturday at 9, but if one of the directors would be available at 9 to 9:15.
I speak.
Okay, and I would put you in contact with the representative, and then Yeah, then yes.
But I have to be gone by like 9:45 to go other place.
9:15 is the commitment.
Okay,
So I may stick around and help clean up then, but I'll probably see you there.
I just signed up for a adult Disney class at the yacht club, so.
All
I'll
right.
be up for a sailing stuff.
I thought you said Disney for a minute.
Well, that can be fun too.
And I think I'm gonna be there for
It'll be
the.
Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah, good.
I think you're gonna be in the harbor, is that true?
Either the harbor or Pacifica, I've gotta look the email.
Yeah, so there was, I
Oh, wait, you're-
mentioned that you were actually participating, Catherine, but the answer was you're somewhere else, so.
Right.
Like some.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I think I may have just latched on to, I'm planning to be at Montara Beach to help clean that, or you're talking about being up at Pacifica at night?
No, we were talking about Montara State.
Montara Beach.
Montara Beach, is
Okay.
Pacific Beach Coalition, not the Pacific Coast.
I just wanna make sure I didn't skip a groove there, okay,
And yeah, worldwide cleanup. and
okay.
We're supposed to say some words.
So,
for Montara State.
Bill, I may see you
Cool.
down at Montara Beach.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for, thank you for,
I might not have to drive.
yeah, thank you for volunteering for that. That'll be good.
Yeah, it's a pretty short walk. And
Yeah.
you'd end up parking up our way anyway.
All right.
Is he still in his manager's report?
I'm checking.
No.
Okay,
Can I have a question?
so, yes,
On the written manager's report under miscellaneous, it says report to Sam drilling incident at El Gran Amigo. Drillers were in incorrect location and hit the sewer force main. Sewer force main was incorrectly marked due to inaccurate maps. Does that mean our drillers or some other drillers?
The SAM consultant.
Oh, okay, so we're kind of not to blame for that issue.
No, it's the SAM consultant that did the drilling.
Okay,
And as
the
built,
leaks,
as built are often inaccurate.
yeah, I know they did that in front of my house too.
okay.
Okay,
Future agendas. We talked about that earlier.
oh yeah, I forgot what it was though.
Well, we can always talk about, we're gonna talk about a possible future agenda item one-on-one after the meeting anyway, so maybe
We are.
if you think of it. Yeah, you asked for 5 minutes.
I know, but that wasn't for a future agenda
Yeah,
item.
yeah, it is. You don't know that yet, but it will be.
Okay,
Okay, so, all right, we are going to recess, thanking PCT for being here and getting all of this out to the public. It's a thankless job, but thank you, and takes a lot of patience and a lot of time, so glad you're here. We're going to reconvene in closed session, so this will end the public part of the meeting, but in closed session, we'll have existing litigation on the matter of the Half Moon Bay suing its neighbor's lawsuit, and then also anticipated litigation, significant exposure with regard to 12 potential cases in Seal Cove emergency. Okay, with that, we're in recess. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.